I'm Caroline. I did the movie 12. Any questions?
Why is the movie called 12?
So it was based on a previous American film, 12 Angry Men. I don't know if you've ever watched it or read it. It's about 12 jurors, and they have to come to a unanimous decision if the guy was guilty or not. So it's like the 12 men. Yeah.
Does the film have any like underlying narratives that concern Putin as a leader? Is he like represented in any of the 12 men?
So it's in the time period where they were at war with the Chechen, and the guy, the little boy who was found guilty of killing his stepfather, who was a Russian war leader. That like symbolizes, I think, like the time period they were at with like war and like Putin.
Okay, you told us in your presentation that there are many flashbacks. Why are they used in the film?
I think they were used to just build up the character himself and show how he grew up and the violence he was around. It flashes back to like when he grew up in like a war, and how violence was around him his whole life.
Right, and technically how they are organized? Are they different, the flashback scenes?
Yes. So some of the flashbacks are happy when he would like dance with like the soldiers, and then others were after like there were bomb strikes. So there was definitely a lot of emotions in those flashbacks. Yes.
How can you like see the director's vision in the film?
He has a lot of like symbolism in it. Like one is a bird that's throughout the whole film. As the men like discuss if the boy is found guilty or not, there's a bird like trapped in the room the whole time, and I think that like shows the director's like vision, how like maybe people that grew up around war were trapped, and just like this boy in jail.
What shots like did you notice that were like most prevalent in the film?
My favorite shot is when the main juror that goes against everyone else, when he walks over to the window and like tells the story about how he was given a second chance in his life. That was my favorite shot because they were all like so intrigued in his story, and like that was like the turning point of the film, I think, because it was like the first time that he went against every other juror.
Were the flashbacks presented differently, like technically, like camera was?
Yes, so some were like following shots, and others were like standstill, where like it would show like a dog, and like others were like action shots of war. So.
I guess you mean like how did they differentiate? Like was it from like the real world to the flashbacks? Like was there a difference?
It was darker, so you
Okay.
could tell that it was like from back then.
Okay. So the character of the guy who committed the crime, does it change over the film?
Yes, so in the beginning, he was, everyone thought they were going to come up with a decision really quickly, because in the first scene, it was like, they all were like, yeah, he's going to be guilty, but the main juror that goes against says, like, we have a human life here, like, let's talk about it a little. I don't feel comfortable without like talking about it a little more. And a lot of the jurors were anti-Semitic and racist, and because he was a Chechen boy, they I think had a preconceived thought on that he was guilty. But throughout the whole film, each juror one by one goes to with the other juror on the vote that he wasn't guilty and didn't commit.
Was the film more based around the boy and his childhood, or like more around like the jurors and like how they interact with each other?
I'd say it was more on the jurors, because I mean, it would go back to his life, but he was shot in like jail, like just like walking around and like that, but it was really about the jurors' decisions and like how each of their own stories like impacted their decision on how he wasn't guilty.
Through whose eyes are we watching that film?
The jurors' eyes, and well, we're watching it through the jurors all at this table in this gymnasium, and flashing back to when he was a child.
And do you change your opinion about the guy who committed the crime all the time throughout the film or not?
Yes, I because each scene, there's a bunch of different scenes where they like one scene is how the old man, he was like the main witness of seeing him kill the stepfather, but they reenact it and try to like come up with like if this was even a reliable source, and because he was so old, like he couldn't have gone out the door to see him commit the crime. So I think that was like one of the biggest turning points for me, realizing that this man was lying.
The sounds in the film, how they are presented, through what?
They're very loud in the war scenes, and another thing was like silence was a big part of this film because it would like really emphasize like they were thinking and like they didn't have to be talking the whole time. So
Okay, in the music, is there some music which would be important or not?
there wasn't that much music, but the one scene that I know there was music was when he was dancing with the knife, and and another scene when the other juror, who was the check-in juror, did the same dance as him, which was really symbolic of like, he's a juror and this little boy's supposedly committed this terrible crime, but they're both the same people, not the same people, but they both have the same interests.
And one more question to clarify. So, where do they see these 12 men? Where?
So, I guess the room was like under construction, so they had to go into this like school auditorium or gymnasium, and they had, it's like a makeshift like jurors room, so.
Right, which is unusual,
Yeah.
right? So they take a very important decision in a school classroom,
Mhm.
right?